Hey everybody, happy Easter. This has been a long day. Hope you all are safe, hope you're healthy, hope you're happy, hope you're staying at home. Joey Pigza Swallowed the Key by Jack Gontos, Chapter 5. Make a Wish. Before bed, Mom had given me a couple spoonfuls of mineral oil. The next morning, nature took its course. I was sitting on the toilet with my new bedroom slippers on when I heard splash clunk as the key fell out of my butt and hit the porcelain bowl. I put on my mom's rubber cleaning gloves, crammed some toilet paper up my nose, and took a swampy breath through my mouth and fished it out. It was nasty, but the key looked the same after I washed it off. At school, I walked into class with my hands clasped together over my head like the world wrestling champion of the universe. "I pooped it out!" I shouted. "I pooped it out in the toilet!" Seth Justman cheered. "Did you save it?" he asked. What did he think? That I'd throw it away? I pulled it up from the noose string around my neck. "Same key," I said. "Want a sniff?" "Do it! Do it! Do it!" Seth shouted, and instantly the class shouted along with him. Mrs. Maxey was busy down the hall with Mrs. Deebs organizing the field trip. I was so excited I forgot to ask for money, and I put the key in my mouth and swallowed. "Ah!" everyone groaned, but they loved it. "Gross!" Seth shouted. "You swallowed a turd-flavored key!" Then I slowly pulled it up, as if there was a drum roll in the air. It was kind of hard coming, because my throat was scraped up, and when I got it all the way out, I saw why. I had eaten a bowl of cold spaghetti for breakfast, and the strands were dangling off the head of the key like tiny octopus legs. I bounced it up and down for everyone to see, and they squealed so loud Mrs. Maxey came flying in. "I knew it would have to be you," she said, wagging her finger at me as she turned the corner and saw my catch. "Now go down to the nurse and clean your face and mouth, and bring me back the key." Nurse Holyfield listened to what I had done, and then gave me a little paper cup with some mouthwash that tasted like the stuff my mom drinks. "I'd have made $1 million, she said, "if I could figure out a way to put an on-off switch on guys like you." "Want to touch my key?" I asked, and held it up. "Did you take your meds today?" she asked in return. "Can I get back to you on that?" I sang. "I think I already know the answer," she said, giving me a disapproving look. "You can't take them only when you feel like it." She continued as she sent me to the bathroom to wash up. "I know that," I sputtered, "but Mom forgot." "We can give them to you here," the nurse said. "I have kids lining up every day for their meds." "No way," I replied. Mom said no one is ever going to give me medicine but her." "Then make sure you take it," she stressed. "Do the right things for yourself." "I am," I said. "I'm washing my face." When I looked up at her, she was shaking her head. "You better get back to class," she said, and handed me a paper towel. "You're a smart boy, but you'll fall behind if you don't keep at your work." "How smart am I?" I asked. "Smart enough to know how to press my buttons," she said. "Now scoot." Mrs. Maxey had cleared a spot on her bulletin board, and after I gave her the key, she thumbtacked it to the cork. "Every morning your key goes up here," she said, "and every afternoon you can pick it up. Now, do you know why I'm doing this?" she asked. Can I get back to you on that?" I said. "Okay, wise guy. That's enough smart talk for one day," she said. "Now go downstairs and see Mrs. Howard for a focus session. If you calm down, you can join your class after lunch for math drills." "See you later, alligators," I said to the class. I grabbed my ruler and walked out of the room backward like I was sword fighting an entire army, and I stayed walking backward, stabbing and slapping the lockers all the way down to Mrs. Howard's dungeon. "I'm back," I said when I pushed open the door with my butt. Mrs. Howard was setting frosted cupcakes on everyone's desks. "Oh, how nice to see you, Joey," she replied, and gave me a big smile. "You're just in time for Harold's birthday party." "I love parties," I said right back, and waved to all the moms. They smiled at me and waved. I knew they would like me once they got to know me. Everyone did. "Can I help?" I asked. "Yes," said Mrs. Howard. She pointed to a stack of rainbow party hats. "You can pass those out." The kids who could put on their own hats I left to themselves, but the ones who couldn't move so well, I helped, until we all, even the moms and Mrs. Howard and me, were wearing party hats, and we sang a very crazy happy birthday to Harold, who was in a neck brace and couldn't blow out his own candle. Mrs. Howard held the candle an inch from his mouth, and he just jerked his head back and forth and kept spitting little bubbles, but the flame hung in there, and we were gathered around him in a circle, and everyone was pulling for him like the candle was a fuse on a bomb, and we were all going to be blown to shreds if he didn't put it out. Harold kept trying, and still he had no wind in him, just those little bubbles. And the candle was getting shorter and shorter, and whatever it was he wished for was not going to come true, but just sputter out in the blue icing. I looked into his face as hard as I could, and it was like hearing him screaming inside, "Come on, don't just stand there, do something." I looked around at the adults. They were all leaning forward, but were frozen as if they didn't know what to do next. But I did, which meant it was up to me. Everyone wanted the candle blown out, so I stepped forward, took a big breath, and when I let it out, I made Harold's wish come true and thought, maybe now there is a pot of gold under that tilted rainbow hat. Everyone gasped and looked at me as if I had just stabbed Harold. But I had done him a favor. "I helped you get your wish," I said to him. And he jerked his head around like a spastic robot, and I could tell he was happy. "See," I said to everyone as I pointed at Harold's mouth, "he's smiling because I helped him out." That's exactly when Mrs. Howard took my hand and led me across the room. "I think you need to settle down for a few minutes," she said. She made me sit in the big quiet chair and read a book that couldn't be read because when I looked at the letters, they kept sliding off the page like drops of mercury when you smash open a thermometer, which is something I know about. I kept asking for a cupcake, but Mrs. Howard said, "The last thing you need is sugar," and she gave me a carrot. "What's up, Doc?" I said to her, and chewed the carrot really loudly with my mouth open. But she didn't answer because just then Mrs. Jarzab opened the door and brought in a scary-looking new kid who she said had come to our class from a school that didn't have their own special room. I never did make it back up to Mrs. Maxey's class for math drills like I wanted to, and when school was out, I walked home. That's when I found out I left my key on the bulletin board, so I just lay down flat on the porch to hide from the bad kids and waited again for my mom. I was thinking about her all afternoon because of something I wanted to ask her. When she turned the corner, I ran up to her and tugged on her arm. "Can I ask you a question?" "1 minute," she said, and gave me her purse to hold. We went inside and she undressed and hung her dirty work clothes that smelled like bleach on the back of the bedroom door and put on her bathrobe. And all the time I kept saying, "Can I ask now? Can I?" "Just let me wind down for a moment while you tell me where your key is," she said. I told her about the bulletin board as I followed her to the kitchen and watched as she fixed herself a drink. She sat down at the breakfast table and opened the newspaper and hid her face behind the huge pages as if she were reading the wings of a giant butterfly. "Now, count to 100 first," she said. I was counting the numbers off as if I was running down a huge flight of stairs and staring at the color photos of a car crash on the front of the newspaper. "Now?" I asked after I had counted to 100. "Okay," she said. "Fire away." "Did I eat paint chips when I was a baby?" "No, just potato chips," she said, and turned the page. "Well, did I ever fall on my head?" I asked. "Mostly your butt," she said. "Did you drink a lot when you were pregnant with me?" She paused, and I could tell the fun was over. She didn't lower the paper, so I couldn't see her face. "No more than the usual," she finally said, as if she was far away, reading something. What's usual? I asked. I don't know what's usual, you know? What? And as I spoke, I could feel my heart just picking up speed. So I closed my eyes and sat on my hands because sometimes that helps settle me down like I'm in my own straitjacket. A glass of wine with dinner and an amaretto sour afterwards. She said it like she had said it 1,000,000 times already, and she was sick of saying it. And then she began to fight back. She lowered the pages for a moment. Why are you asking? Why? Why? She knew when she asked why that the millions of little gears in my head just jammed all together. She knew I could never get to the why of anything. I could never get my mind to gather exactly what I wanted to say, and I could never find the trail to the bottom of what I meant. There were so many other trails that wandered off along the way, and me with them. We got a new kid today in specials, I said as she rattled the paper, with my heart climbing high up into my chest. And I heard one of the moms say he is over the fence and long gone from his mom drinking too much when he was the size of a peanut. And he's skinny, and his head is so small, like a kicked around softball, and he can't do nothing. I mean, nothing. Like, my worst day is better than his best day. Ever. Then count your blessings, she said, turning the page. And don't go looking for ways to blame me for your problems. Other people drink wine and their kids are geniuses. You could have gone either way. I still couldn't see her face, but it was like I could see her voice. And it said, don't push me. Just stop now and turn around before you go too far and get hurt. And so I buttoned my lip and just went back to eating the salty nuts out of the big bowl of party mix. And then she lowered the paper and I saw 2 small wet spots where she held it across her lap. She was crying, but I didn't know if it was because she drank too much or if it was just the everyday sadness of her life with me. She sniffed and sniffed as if she were pulling something up hand over hand on a rope, as if to pull it all back into her eyes and nose. And then she said, "Why me? Why? I try so hard." I don't have an answer to that one. But someday, all that asking me why is going to wear my brain down so that it is as smooth as a boiled egg, and I'll just sit in Mrs. Howard's big chair all my life like the coma kids, and that word why will float through me from ear to ear like a warm breeze. We have a kid in specials named Kerwin Clump, and Mrs. Howard calls him my cute little lump, but not in any kind of mean way, and he doesn't do much but sit there and drool, and then every now and again he jumps up and pulls the plastic fire alarm. He did it a couple times to the real one in the hallway during the first week of school, so they put a fake fire alarm in the specials room, and he can pull that without the whole school having to empty out and the fire trucks arriving with ambulances screaming right behind them. And all the while, Kerwin hopping up and down like he's permanently on a pogo stick saying, I bad. No, I'm not like Kerwin. I can't have good days, entire days, when I wake up and I'm calm inside, like water when it's not boiling, and I just plant my feet on the floor like everyday kid in America and do a sleepy walk down to the bathroom and take a nice hot shower and wash my hair and dry off and get dressed and eat breakfast, and all the while thinking about what I'd like to do with my day. And then the most amazing thing to me is after I think about what I want to do, like read or see a friend or say something nice to Mrs. Howard or write a poem, I actually do all that stuff. That is amazing to me. I think it, then I do it. This may be how everyone else operates, but this is not how I usually operate. Usually I wake up with springs popping inside my head like I'm in the middle of a pinball game where I'm the ball, and I shoot out of bed early. I shoot out of bed and directly to the kitchen where I ricochet around after food until by chance I snatch some toast off the counter. then go slamming off the padded stool tops like they were lighted bumpers and zing up the hall and into the bathroom where I try to brush my teeth, but I brush mostly my lips and chin, and then I explode back out the door and across the living room and carom off the furniture until Mom gets a grip on me and wipes toothpaste off of my face and works a pill down my throat. And then she holds the back of my head and pushes my face into her soft belly and just holds me like that for a few minutes. And if the meds are working, I begin to settle down real well. And when I pull my face away and look up at her, she is smiling and stroking my head. And if she's in a good mood, we both start to laugh because it is so funny that I've just gone from being Ricochet Rabbit to Charlie Brown in no time flat. And this makes both of us so happy. I love it when she rescues me like this, and when the meds work, and when I go to school and stay in my seat, and kids don't call me Zippy, and teachers pat me on the head at the end of the day and give me gold and blue foil stars and say nice things to me. And later when Mom comes home, I tell her how good I've been, and she smiles and smiles, and I get so pumped up. I run to mix her an amaretto sour, and she keeps smiling and then calls me her genius, her hyper smart buddy.